So, what's happening in my life is that Netcare is trying to claim that I have delusional beliefs, beliefs in things that are related to remote neural monitoring and V2K technology, which are both real things. So, how can that be delusional beliefs? The police then use that evidence by not coming out for a visit and claiming that I am exhibiting deteriorating mental health. That's what the document says. I want to know where the police has determined that I'm showing that I'm displaying deteriorating mental health. There's nothing wrong with me. That's the problem. And people are trying to claim that there is. Again and again and again. Now 22 times. And I continue to be harmed. And falsely imprisoned. Time. After fucking time. After fucking time again. I've had it. I've told truth my whole life. That's who I am. It's a cornerstone of my integrity and my character. And for that to be brought into question because of some floozies that have the authority to do something to somebody else is absolutely ridiculous. I wonder how long the government's going to hide the truth. They've done a great job of hiding the truth to the public already about a number of things that I've also exposed, that I guess would coin me a conspiracy theorist. One thing is true about a conspiracy theory. There's always truth found inside of a larger conspiracy theory. Otherwise, the beliefs wouldn't exist because they could be disproven with facts. People better wake up to the idea that unpopular ideas are not incorrect. Just because a belief is not popular does not make it a wrong belief or an incorrect or false truth. We are teetering on the edge of losing one of the most sacred rights that Americans have. Freedom of speech. We don't have a voice if it doesn't go along with a narrative that's stamped and approved by the government. We live in horrible times right now. And you know what? All of it is created by the executive branch. Every horrible thing that is occurring in the world is the result of the United States of America executive branch. From the wars in foreign lands to poverty on our own back doorsteps. To an entrapment of welfare and record numbers of incarcerations, and grant money going from the Department of Justice all the way down to the local level that encourages additional incarcerations. Everything that is horrible, wretched, and wrong in our nation is the direct result of the executive branch of government. If they don't rein themselves back, we are headed towards disaster. And that's not a joke. Freedom of speech is under attack. And there is a weapon being used to manipulate people's thinking, which is supported with instances of propaganda and programming. People are too caught up in their own belief that they are correct, that they can't even see the other side of an issue. And they go to battle defending their viewpoint and their opinion. It's exactly what the government wants. They want us to be fighting one another. Because they don't care if we live or die. In fact, they do care if we live or die. They would rather have us all dead. So I don't know what it's going to take for the executive branch to stop violating the Constitution, invading people's privacy, doing things that are illegal, manipulating laws, and reintroducing slavery as a tool of the trade in America's workings. That's ridiculous. It is time that they check themselves into a mental hospital. The whole branch government should go immediately and be evaluated. Because they're not honoring their oath when they first took their position. And many have been in their position so long, they feel as if they're gods. And a badge allows them to do it. I pray that the legislative branch has enough courage to stop what is going on today, because only they are powerful enough to stop mass genocide from occurring using slow kill radiation in the form of microwave radio frequencies. And of the two groups, which would be the upper house, the Senate, and the lower house, the House of Representatives. The Senate only has 100 people. So I'm contacting them, asking them to end the illegal use of remote neural monitoring and make it a law that no civilian should be using this military-grade weapon. Everybody that has access to it loves it. Loves the weapon. Yeah, it does a lot of things. But the first thing it does is it lowers a person's electromagnetic field. And it disables it so that microwaves can come through the skin, creating excess calcium in cells and breaking DNA, which eventually causes cancer in people. This is real simple stuff. This is not very complex. But people aren't listening. They're not hearing. And they're not putting two and two together. And the executive branch is responsible for fucking every shitty thing up. When will it end? Because there's one of two options. They either end it on their own, and they admit some fault, or somebody else calls them out on their bullshit. And that could come from an internal group, the military, or an external group, the United Nations. Either scenario is not very good for the structure of the United States of America government. Both would see a change in the head of power. This is serious. The military-industrial complex is responsible for having this weapon of theirs loose and in control of people not being supervised or with any oversight. And it's harming people every single minute of every single day. First, from a satellite with radar, it beams down and goes right back here. And it tracks and monitors you everywhere you go. On the earth. You cannot escape it by going inside of a building or even underground. And radar causes cancer too. So a lot of people think that it's crazy that I am fighting a fight to end remote neural monitoring. They say it's too big, or that it's been used, it's part of what the government is. If my government is trying to claim that it can legally break the Constitution, then I don't want to live here anymore. Because it's not the United States of America. It's something else. And it's not the country that I grew up thinking I lived in. It's some false idea of freedom and liberty and rights and equality. It's some fake plastic billboard. Advertising to the world. We're free, we're free. We are not. Because our government wants to know every goddamn blessed thing that happens in all of our lives. Every moment of every day. No, my beliefs are not delusional beliefs. These are real problems facing real Americans in real time. And instead of staring and ignoring, which is the only thing that the executive branch does, that's all they do. Stare and ignore. And do their own thing. They need to save our country because they were once too citizens without a position and in control. And they've forgotten it. And they've gone awry with their belief of things. You want to know who's delusional? The executive branch. Because they think that they can create things into a reality for everyone. And that that's okay to do. By invading a person's and stealing their code of their electromagnetic field. The very first act of doing remote neural monitoring is illegal to do. It's stealing somebody's personal identity. And with that information, they're able to hear, see, know, torture, interrogate illegally, gather evidence in the privacy of people's own homes, put people into indentured servitude, use them as undercover people to frame other people. This is not good. This is not what our country is supposed to be. We shouldn't have an organized mob going around with badges saying that we're the government. I don't know. What is wrong with the world today except to point to one single source: the executive branch of government. The ethics and morals are out the window when it comes to the executive branch, and nobody is powerful enough to stop them. They have a lot of power. Too much. And do you know who's supposed to rein them in? The other two branches of government. The problem is that any time a case comes up having to do with remote neural monitoring, the executive branch rushes in and says, it's a matter of national security. You have to dismiss the case. And it gets dismissed. And they run to the legislative branch and they say, oh my gosh, we have this big war on terrorism and there's terrorism everywhere and we need extra authority to look into things because we're peeping perverts and want to know everything about everybody. Will you please pass us a law so that we can do that to keep our country safe? They're swindlers and crooks, the executive branch. This is the truth of the world today. And it's not pretty. And thank God I live in the United States of America, where hopefully, unless YouTube decides for some reason that this video goes against community standards, I still have a voice. It's called freedom of speech. And silencing the truth is more un-American than anything imaginable. But that's what the executive branch does best. It silences opposition. It silences it with incarceration or mental institutionalization of people that are not mentally ill. That's what they do. That's what they spend their whole day doing. Silencing the truth. I'll keep speaking because I have a right to speak. I'll keep speaking because it is what I believe. I will keep speaking because I have a right to express myself verbally, however I choose. Those of you out there who do not believe that remote neural monitoring exists need to wake up, because your rights have already been taken away. And there's a small group of people fighting very hard to get them back. Not just for themselves, but for you too. Because you're so ignorant, you don't know that your rights have been stolen. We need your support. Because the executive branch needs stopped today before we teeter closer to disaster. So, executive branch, I guess we'll just see what you do today, won't we? Because there will come a time when you will be responsible for answering very important questions. I think it would be interesting if the UN, if they were to file charges against the Department of Justice, if they brought up cases that were all dismissed having to do with electronic harassment. On the grounds of national security. No, it's called covering up your own ass. That's what it is. It's not a matter of national security. Breaking the Constitution is not a matter of national security. These are basic ideas that are being completely overlooked, as if they don't exist. Those of you who do believe in remote neural monitoring, and I'm talking to the perps too, not just the ties, because the perps play a very important role in what's going to happen in the United States. Everybody who is aware that remote neural monitoring exists is obligated to share it with somebody who doesn't know a thing about it today. They need to tell their best friend in the whole world, the one that they tell their secrets to, about remote neural monitoring. And how it is dangerous in stripping everyone of all of their rights. And it's already happened. And people want to keep it that way. If the population of people today that are aware of remote neural monitoring is 50,000, by tomorrow, that number can increase to 100,000. Overnight. That should scare the bejesus out of the executive branch of government. So I'm contacting all the senators, as I mentioned about 5, 6, 10 minutes ago. Because the executive branch needs reminded that it cannot use this weapon against innocent, non-consenting Americans who have done nothing wrong and nothing illegal, even to investigate them or to conduct surveillance. No, I'm not paranoid. Although some people would claim that my beliefs of things demonstrates that I have paranoia or schizophrenia. Listen up to the truth, and you'll discover a whole bunch of other things that you didn't know. For more of my struggle to get back rights and freedom from my neighbors and neighborhood harassment to end, and for profiling and discrimination and violations of my civil rights by the Columbus Division of Police to cease. Please visit my Facebook page, Tiered Justice, Equity, and Equality, where you can get a daily update of what I am doing, in addition to calling the senators, to end this horrible, disgraceful, and disrespectful chapter in American government. Just because it's shitty right now does not mean it has to remain that way. Our government is very powerful in the world, and if they're wise, what they'll do with that power is tell the people some of the secrets it has kept for decades. It's the only way to maintain control without it collapsing. The government collapsing. It's the only way. It's too bad that it's had to come to this, because this could have ended so long ago. But something happens in the minds of people who use remote neural monitoring. It goes to their head. Because they've got the ability of a God to remotely know everything about you. So the fact that they develop an addiction. Yep, they're sick. They're very, very sick. And they're obsessed with having control and power. To the point that they do and say and behave however they want. And they walk around like the character in the book, The Emperor's New Clothes. Naked for the whole world to see, and with a gun pointing down everybody's neck, saying, "Do you like my uniform?" Because they get off on it. They get off on the power and the control that they have, and the ability to make people's lives complete shit in a short matter of weeks or months, if they so choose. I know I'm fighting the good fight. And I'm speaking my mind. And I am blessed to live in the time period that I am, because I'm still able to do that. Because if I were born later, or more recently, I might not have that ability. I've been able to fly under the radar. But I have a very, very important message to share. And I haven't been silenced yet. Do you know why? Because I'm supporting the Constitution. I'm supporting the foundational principles of the government of the United States of America. So I won't be silenced, and I have no fear. Those of you out there scared about COVID and what the current state of affairs going on around the world need to realize is that it's your fear of things that is making the world an enslavement camp. You're enslaving yourselves in what you believe. Free yourself. Take a deep, deep breath and have faith that God will win this fight. Because remote neural monitoring is the devil. And everybody loves it. Because they're supposed to love the devil. It's one of the things that God talks about. Everybody thinks it's great. And we should have it around. And look at how beneficial it'll be. Look at how it'll help us keep order and control. It's the executive branch's wet dream. So I don't know what it's going to take for people to understand truth and to side with God. Because we were created with an electromagnetic field around us to protect us from dangerous cosmic radiation. So is our Earth, by the way. It creates the magnetic poles. It's a field. It's the field that spaceships haven't been able to actually go out and experience being in space yet. Yeah. I don't know why they call them spaceships, because they're not. They've never been there. You should call it a low orbit ship. A low orbit ship. Or a loss. Because I'm at a loss as to why scientists haven't come out and spoken this truth. Because it's truth. Where is the scientific community that has the backing and the knowledge to bravely say to the American people, this is not possible because of A, B, C? Where are those people? Where are those brave Americans? Why are they silent? We need to change the world today. And we do it by what comes out of our mouth. And in what we say to people. And in what we hear other people say. So when somebody is talking to you today, listen up. Because you might miss something important if you're not paying attention. And put aside your own belief of things. Because we're not always right. So stop defending wrong ideas to the hilt. I could go on and on, but I'm going to let you get busy with the most important task of the day. And that is to contact somebody and tell them something that they did not know. Or if you've already become a victim of self-isolation, go do some research on something that you thought was true. And look at it with an open mind. Because you can only graft a tree on an old root system. That will accept water. Again, I will speak my mind because I believe in freedom of mind. And the eventual passage of the first ever AI constitutional amendment, because we are at that crossroads in human civilization. We must protect our God-created, God-given, and God-spoken bodies and protect it from artificial intelligence if we don't want it. Because people want to do things to us, to our thinking, to our emotions. I want to manipulate all those things. I never thought my government would ever do something like this. But here we are. 2021. 2022. My fault. Time flies. We're all here for a very small speck of time. And I will not tolerate my government deciding that I shouldn't be around to experience all of my life that God gave me. You're up for a fight. And I may not have much support right now because you've made me discredited with your bullshit. But I'm fighting back. And I'm building a support base to take you on. And I'll do it every day until I die. And remote neural monitoring today. Spread the word so that we can all be free. Unless you just don't care. They talk about us not having currency one day and everybody being happy. This is the new thing going on right now. Do you know how they're going to do that? Make us artificially think that we're happy. And we'll be as poor as shit. Wake up. Nobody is happy 100% of the time. Get your head out of the clouds. And get angry because you have a reason to be angry at the injustice that is going on today around our country and around the world. God bless everybody. And I hope that you have a very safe and productive day. Facebook, Tiered Justice, Equity and Equality. You can find out more information. And hopefully, my expression of freedom of speech will not disappear because Facebook says it goes, or YouTube says it goes against community standards. You know what goes against community standards? Censorship. That goes against community standards. So there's one for you to think about before you decide to deliver only a government narrative of the world around us. Because there's more than one viewpoint. Take care.